So why do some people retire with financial freedom and others just seem to scrape and barely get by through their golden years? This is a question that I've been working on well, since about 2010, and I've come up with some answers, wanted to share it with you so that you can build your financial fountain of freedom for your retirement years, whatever age that allows you to retire at. I help investors achieve financial freedom by creating streams of tax smart income while growing equity for future generations. Hey everyone, my name is Brad N. Reed. I would like to encourage you to be good, and by good I mean get out of debt, achieve your financial dreams, and give generously to your community. This is the third episode in the series, and these first three videos are all going to kind of work together. So if you want to go back and see those, check out the playlist. But for today's agenda, I'm going to talk about Ray Dalio's Holy Grail of Investing, and I'm going to talk about Peter Mallouk's asset allocation of the ultra rich. These two strategies are when I put them when I put them together, that's what really changed and launched my financial future. It took me many, many years, many different masterminds, lots of time and pain and emotional stress. So I wanted to put this together to bring this to you so you can also build your own financial fountain of freedom. We'd love to help you out. So, this is the third of many sessions, and I have put together a rough outline of what's going to be in those sessions. Spoiler alert, it's going to start off helping those of you that are not yet accredited, and then we'll move into other folks that are accredited. Whoa, a bunch of people just joined the chat pane or just joined us in the group. Thank you all for being here. Invitation, if you want to join us live, check the description there. If you're watching this on YouTube, I do these live and you can join us. I do open up the webinar about 5 or 10 minutes early. Come on in, chat, ask questions, hang out, and then we'll all get started together. All right, the first session after this, I'm going to talk about tips and tricks to optimize your mortgage. Most of the people, at least that I'm looking at y'all here on the attendee list, probably much more sophisticated than this, but if you get your mortgage wrong, it really makes investing a little bit more difficult. So I wanted to start off with that. I've got an expert named Leanna Buck that's going to join us. She is a mortgage originator, I think is the right title. So this is the big machine that I'm building because I have struggled with my personal finances and have the blessings of finally building some financial fountains of freedom, and I am called to help others with their finances. So, the first tier will be all about getting out of debt and how to stay out of debt, right? That's why I say be good, get out of debt. The second is about aligning your mind, body, and spirit because there are some challenges. There are some things to overcome in your mindset and in your friendships and relationships and all kinds of ships. And so you need to get control of how your mind works and how your brain works, make all that working together. One of the biggest discoveries for me is that you are the average of your five closest people. And so you need to be very careful of who are your five closest people. And anyone that's got kids, you always want to know who are they hanging out with? Who are your friends? Because you know they'll become the average of their five closest people. All right, most of what we're going to talk about in this series is in the tier three, invest for success, where we can achieve our financial dreams together. And then the final tier is once you have achieved your financial dreams, how do you live a fulfilled life? Certainly, you have heard that money does not buy happiness. It absolutely does not. So, once you have achieved financial freedom, how do you live in fulfillment? How do you not screw it up? How do you save that financial freedom and even grow that freedom for future generations? That's what tier four is going to be about. All right. None of this is financial advice, and that hurts my soul to say it. But the fancy lawyers out in LA make me say this is not financial advice, and it's not. This is for education, hopefully, and hopefully some entertainment value as you go along. There are no offers to buy or sell any security. There's no investment advice, tax advice, accounting, or legal advice. Investors bear responsibility for your own investment decisions and results. Investing and trading involves a high degree of risk of losing a significant amount of money or all of it. So should you want personalized financial advice, please seek a competent, preferably licensed individual in your area. Groovy. Going to do a quick review. Interest rate matters. Have you ever heard someone say, hey, look, the time is your most powerful ally. Just get your money in the market and let the financial advisor do their thing. Well, guess who gets paid with that advice, right? Yeah, your financial advisor. So interest rate is the difference between the green line, the blue line, and the red line. That red line is a 7% return. That's what many financial advisors can get you. The blue is just the long-term stock market average. The green line is 15%. That's what I'm going for. And even if you do ride the red line and you start early, let's say you get to $1.6 million for your retirement. If your financial advisor is only getting you 4% after inflation, right? And even after inflation, that's a pretty big number these days. That means you're living off of $40,000. Is that your retirement dream? Because I have learned strategies that I'm going to share with you in this series where I think I can get you, or I'm getting for my family closer to 8 to 10%. And so if I only get to 1.6 million, that means I can live off $160,000 a year and it grows throughout my retirement. That's a whole lot more like my retirement dreams. If that matches your retirement dreams, smash a one in the chat pane. Deanna's excited to be here. Thank you for being here, Deanna. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited you're here too. I've been talking about doing this series for a long time and I'm doing it. Sim's got some ones. Thank you all for your participation. I appreciate you. Inflation to me is the scariest thing in the world. It's so scary, even Hollywood has not made a movie about how scary inflation is. But at 4% inflation, the cost of living will double every 18 years. That means for your typical 36-year retirement, the cost of living is going to quadruple. That is 4x, right? So every year you do not hit your retirement goal. It's like running a race, and the finish line just gets further and further away every year. Interest rate matters, and you got to outpace inflation. So think about what some of your friends and family are doing with their savings account. Because some savings opportunities, they're only paying 2 or 3%. In fact, I know a family, there's two of them, and they both make crazy amounts of money, and their investing goals are to be super safe. And they target investments that pay 2 to 3% each year, and then they pile on as much of those as possible. I'm terrified for them because I don't think they're ready for inflation to quadruple in their retirement period. So be aware. Oh, yeah, there's another story I wanted to share with you. A person that I met at a Tony Robbins class in his 50s, very excited because he invested a lot of money into an annuity that's going to pay him $126,000 a year. He's a single guy, and for him, $126,000 is a life-changing amount of money. He is not prepared for the cost of living to quadruple because that annuity payment does not increase with inflation. So 126,000 may buy him the lifestyle he wants in year one of his retirement. I am worried that it will not provide the retirement style he wants in year 36. So let's invest to outpace inflation. So the investments that I enjoy and that I am investing in, and by the way, I'm going to share those with you here in just a little bit. They give you cash on cash return while you are holding the investment, right? You get cash flow during the investment, and then you get a lump sum also at the end of the investment. So that's an equity piece. You add those two together, and over the years, we call it a multiple on invested capital. Now, if you want to know what that breaks down to annually, we call that the annualized rate of return. You'll see both of these numbers along with the cash on cash return in a typical investment that I'm interested in. So look, if you're before retirement like me, you reinvest everything. And the annualized rate of return is the rate at which the investments compound. Remember, we're shooting for the green line, not the red line. If you are in retirement or after retirement, you spend the cash on cash and reinvest the equity in such a way that your cash on cash returns continue to grow. This means your stream of cash that you live off of grows throughout your retirement. This is how we are going to outpace inflation however long we live. And we also get to leave a generation changing amount of money to the future generations, right? Who's all for building legacy? Give me a three or we. Yeah. Thank you all for your participation. All right. We talked about money mindset and the dangerous state of our current economic world. At least 75% of the people, at least that were polled, if they got a big chunk of money, they would use that to buy toys. They would have amazing experiences and trips. They would give extraordinary gifts. They would part with the money in less than a year. The last time I checked, lottery winners file bankruptcy at a rate of like 90%. Professional athletes that make hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars. Uh, ESPN did a 30 for, is it 30 for 30 on that? Something like that. But they found out that almost two-thirds of professional athletes file for bankruptcy despite the enormous amounts of money that they make because people do not think about investing in businesses and opportunities that pay cash on cash and grow equity to outpace inflation. So you see rich people with all the toys because they buy the businesses, they invest in the businesses, and then they use their cash on cash to come off and buy the toys and the trips and the experiences and the extraordinary gifts. We have a huge disparity right now between the haves and the have-nots. And several economists have been warning us, look, if we do this great reset, that some people are talking about, where the government collects all of the money and then gives everyone their fair share, right? Everyone gets an equal amount of the collective money. In a matter of months, we are going to go right back to our current state of haves versus have-nots because most of the people are going to be buying uh, things from, well, as I look through the attendee list, I think everyone in the attendee list right now has bought businesses that pay cash on cash. So if we do this great reset, folks like us are going to be responsible for taking care of the people that are too soon to part with their money. So the point of this slide is if your first thought of winning the lottery is to buy cars, houses, toys, trips, and give life-changing gifts to people, think again. Okay? Think again. Work on your money mindset. Shift it to investing in businesses. And if you don't know how, stay tuned. That's what this whole series is for. So here's the example I talked about. If you have $100,000 and you buy a car or you buy a trip or you give it as a beautiful gift to your church, in a couple of hours or a couple of years, that money's going to be gone. But if you come over here to option B and you invest it into a business that pays 10% cash on cash return and has a 2x MOIC, multiple on invested capital, or that happens to be a 14.87% annualized rate of return, and you spend the cash on cash and you reinvest the equity, and then you spend that cash on cash, you will have a stream of income for your transportation, for your donation, for your travel, for whatever you want to use this money for. You will have a stream of income that grows forever. Now, I say forever in quotes, although I guess I'm not on the camera. But yeah, this assumes that each investment performs as projected. Spoiler alert, they never do. Some of them go ahead of expectations. Some of them fall short. I have not yet had one that went, yeah, actually I did. I did. I had a flip house that ended up being negative. Okay. So it is possible, and that's why what I'm going to talk about in this presentation is how do you invest your money so that you are diversified, non-correlated with asymmetric risk reward. That's the key trick. So we've been talking about we need a rate of return that outpaces inflation. We need a rate of return that will provide for our needs in retirement. But what the heck is it? How do you know what it is? If you know what rate of return you need, you know how to invest. Let me say that again. If you know what rate of return you need, then you can decide how to invest. So go get this calculator, right? It's there for free. Um, you know what? I didn't have it ready to put in the chat pane. I'm just going to type it manually. Hope this works. https://invest.indhrs.com/IARC. Go get it. It's free for now. It's free for now. And you can actually calculate what rate of return you need. And you can also play around with the rates of return and try, you can do Monte Carlo simulations on your different retirement scenarios. If you struggle on how to use it, go check out the second video in the series, and I walk through some examples. Groovy. All right, today, I want to talk about what Ray Dalio calls the holy grail of investing. There's a beautiful book that I was able to read. Uh, there are the pictures on the right, The Holy Grail of Investing by Tony Robbins and Christopher Zook. They talk about different ways to diversify, get non-correlated with asymmetric risk reward. And then they interview some of the gurus that are doing it. Personally, I found the first third just talking about these different asset classes. But a lot of people here know what diversification is. Diversification is spreading your capital across businesses with different industries, revenue models, sizes, geographies, and economic sensitivities so that your entire portfolio is not dependent on a single outcome. Okay? Not many people that I know understand what the heck non-correlation is, right? It means that investments do not move predictably together. It's when the performance of one holding is not reliably predictable on the basis of another. So, for instance, if you have an apartment, how does the value of that apartment move with the stock market? It doesn't. They're non-correlated. If you have some oil wells, how does the price of oil move with the rents of the apartment? It doesn't. So the importance here, it's sort of like another level of diversification, right? You want to get assets that are non-correlated. Now, here's where a lot of people get this wrong. They think if they have real estate stocks, they have tech stocks, they have commodity stocks, they have this stocks, that flavor of stocks, that they're diversified and non-correlated, and they are wrong. The stocks in the stock market are 80% correlated. Public equities in general are 60% correlated. Therefore, it is super important, in my opinion, to have investments that are diversified and non-correlated and have asymmetric risk reward. This is just an expensive way to say your upside is significantly larger than your downside. Okay, so these concepts are talked about in that book. Uh, I learned this, I read this, and I was like, how do I do that? And that's when I came across Peter Mallouk. He gave a presentation that I was fortunate enough to attend at a Tony Robbins Wealth Mastery in June of 2024. I have done many Tony Robbins events, and I have not heard this content reiterated an additional time. Thank you, Deanna. Deanna went out and got the link and verified it. Thanks for putting that in the chat pane. So Peter's concept is much of the growth happens before a stock gets to the public market, right? So anything that is in the stock market has been growing usually for years and years and maybe decades and decades. And then after the growth, they say, hey, let's go public. And then it grows slower. The long-term moving average of the stock market is about 10%. You can find things in the private markets that grow significantly faster than that. So my current target strategic allocation comes from some Peter Mallouk guidance that I have not been able to find anywhere except for my notes. So I can't verify this, right? So this is what is right for me. You have to decide what is right for you. But 80% of my portfolio, when I finally hit this target allocation, is going to be in private ownership. 40% of it's going to be in real estate. 30% of it's going to be in private equity. Spoiler alert, I've been studying real estate for 9 years now, maybe more. So I understand that more. And when I show you my portfolio here in a little bit, it's going to be mostly in real estate. But I'm studying private equity next. I'm studying private equity now and looking for more opportunities in private equity. And I'm going to discuss that on the next slide. 10% in energy. And then let's go into public equities. I understand stocks the best. I understand bonds. I'm just not a fan of those. It's just not for me. Maybe it is for you. 5% on alternatives. And what is alternatives? It's sports teams, it's venture capital. A lot of those two things right there like the minimum on those, maybe 500,000, it might be $5 million. To get in on those things is ridiculous. So it's really hard to get into alternatives. I know a lot of people who, in my opinion, with my knowledge, my expertise, and my skills, if I had as much crypto as they did, I would be way out of my league. Crypto can go to zero with one stroke of the government pen. And metals also fall in the alternatives bucket. So this is my allocation. What would be yours? All right. So got some buckets down here on the bottom: real estate, private equity, stocks, energy, and alternatives. Here's where I'm at. I've got right at about 15% right now in dividend paying stocks, market ETFs, and options. And I should rephrase that. To be completely honest, I have a bunch sitting in cash that is allocated for the strategies, mostly market ETFs. I've got a pretty good um, collection of dividend stocks. But um, if you are not accredited, the stock market is what you have the most access to out of any of these. I certainly know there are opportunities to get into real estate if you're not yet accredited. We'll talk more about that in the future. The first deal I got into was a 48 unit apartment out in Warrenton, Missouri. That one has a 2.06 multiplier over 5 years. That's the MOIC, multiplier over invested cash. That's a 15.5% annualized rate of return. At that time, 8.2% cash on cash return and a 2x multiplier was a great deal in that market. The next deal I got into was in Cincinnati, Ohio. This is a 22 unit apartment complex. This one gives a 2.3x multiplier over 5 years. That's an 18.1% annualized rate of return. And again, about an 8% cash on cash return. That's what the market was delivering at that point. My next investment was several months later, and these are not in chronological order. This is my next apartment. The market was getting better. There's a 2.3x multiple over 5 years with 9.1% cash on cash return. You can almost see how the market was evolving. Now, this was, I used retirement money to invest in these. So the cash on cash return didn't matter so much to me. At that time, I was looking for the annualized rate of return. That's what was most important to me at this time. Now, this one, all of those three, I was a limited partner in. And then I got into this one as a joint venture, which means I am on the management team. This one also has a 2.3x multiplier over 5 years. I use retirement money for this one. And some of y'all are saying, Brad, you cannot be active with your retirement money. I'm not active. The government has a very specific definition of active, and I am compliant with that. And I have the approval of my lawyers, and I have had them go over what I can and cannot do with a fine-tooth comb. So 18.1% annualized rate of return on that one, and I'm active. Oh, and by the way, that is my passive shares. I got some free shares for being active, for being on the management team. That's always fun. Uh, this is probably my favorite apartment. It's got a 2.52x multiplier over 5 years. 13% cash on cash return. Oh, you know what? I haven't talked about diversification, non-correlation, and asymmetric risk reward. Can y'all see that I have apartments in different cities? Therefore, that's diversified. All of these are with a different operator so far. So I'm diversified that way. Now, I started off showing you my stocks, and then I've started talking about my real estate. So those two asset categories are non-correlated. And take a look at this one, 2.52x multiplier over 5 years. If it goes right, that's a much bigger return than if it goes wrong, right? Do you see that the upside is bigger than the downside? Type in a five, like a high five in the chat pane. If you can see that the asymmetric, that I have asymmetric risk reward here. And if you're not typing a five yet, let me add a cool one on this one. The areas around this, before we closed on it, were getting rezoned for skyscrapers. So now I have a huge uh, asymmetric risk reward if we can get rezoned for skyscraper when we go to sell this thing. So as I'm showing you, my portfolio, I want you asking, Brad, are you diversified? Are you non-correlated? Do you have asymmetric risk reward? All right. And then the last one, Birmingham, Alabama. This is a 40 unit that we're going to make into a 42 unit. Oh, by the way, I didn't mention on the Dallas property, there's room in the parking lot to build 6 more units. And basically, that would be about a $2 million bump and a $1 million cost. Asymmetric risk reward is fun. So, a 40 unit, about to be 42 unit in Birmingham, Alabama, 2.01 multiplier over 5 years, 10% cash on cash return. That comes to a 14.98 annualized rate of return. I did not put any money into this one. I got ownership shares for doing work. That's pretty cool, in my opinion. Some of y'all that are watching this, let's see, everyone here knows how this happens. But if you're watching this, you're probably wondering, hey, that sounds like witchcraft. It's not. Um, Stay with me in this series. Tell your friends, register. I am going to show you how to do all that in this series. All right. Here is a private equity deal that I got into, right? It's a paving project in the Southwest United States, 5x multiplier over 5 years, 15% cash on cash return, asymmetric risk reward. This is why I want to get more into private equity. It's a little bit riskier, a little bit higher chance of failure, but the returns can be potentially enormous. Then I got into some oil wells, right? I got 8 oil wells in North Dakota. They're in 2 different regions that are operated by 3 different operators. So I got my diversification within this portfolio of oil wells. Highly variable returns because no one's going to promise how much oil is in the ground. But I can tell you all 8 of the wells have oil in them. They have all been fracked. And yeah, I'm excited. Oh, tax benefits. Oh, there's so much to talk about. How am I doing on time? Oh, we got plenty of time. The apartments, you may have heard of cost segregation and accelerated depreciation. Because the United States has been behind on new places for people to live compared to the growth of our population, the government wants to incent people like you and me and those people that are attending live. By the way, thank you all, every single one of you for being here. They want to incent us to create nice places for people to live. How do they do that? They give us tax benefits. Well, the same thing for energy, right? Um, oh, what is it? The lifestyle, the lifestyle of a population is directly proportionate to the cost of energy. If the government can help make energy cheaper, the overall lifestyle will get better and better and better. So therefore, the government incents us to invest in energy. Folks, I am not a tax expert, and I don't know if this applies to everyone or for you, but for some people, if you invest in oil wells, you can get 85% of your money back in a tax benefit that first year. So if you invest $100,000 in year one, you get a tax benefit of $85,000. Again, check with your accountant, all that disclaimer stuff. That can change at any stroke of the government pen. But yeah, we need energy, and energy allows me to get diversified, non-correlated with asymmetric risk reward. All right, so there's this alternatives button down here on the right. I actually found a fund, was offered a fund through a private, it was a private offering where this fund collects monies and they go and they invest in sport teams um, and venture capital and crypto and metals. And they also invest a small percentage of their fund in general partnership stakes of the rest of this stuff. So this rounds out my portfolio. And oh, wait, there's one super cool other one that I have invested in. I've actually gotten in on this one 3 separate times. Now, some of y'all may recognize this as the Destinations deal. Deanna Lee, the genius behind this opportunity, is live in the chat pane. So if you are here live and you want to ask Deanna about it, blow up the chat pane, right? Go nuts. She's here. She's a resource for you. Ask questions. The returns are actually better now than when I got in. So these are my numbers. Your numbers will be better if you want to invest now. Um, but yeah, real estate is awesome. This is a portfolio of luxury destination rentals. So it's non-correlated. um, from stocks and energy and private equity for sure. It's probably somewhat correlated with long-term rentals like the apartments, but the diversification comes in that there's properties from Hawaii to the Dominican Republic, from deserts to jungles, from mountains to beaches, three different countries, from single unit condos to boutique resorts. It's a portfolio. I like it because it's up and running. So some of these apartments and the oil wells, you don't know what you're going to get until you close or until you drill a hole in the ground. But this one, I feel a lot safer about because it has been up and running. And this is actually Deanna's second round on a portfolio like this. And if y'all don't know, it's still open. So if you are accredited and you want to get in on this, you want to learn more about it, you can connect with Deanna in the chat pane right now, or you can go to indhrs.com/contact and you can set a meeting on my calendar. Uh, don't hit up Bijan for a week or two because he is going to be slammed for a while. But yeah, one of my favorite ones. Oh, I was just in Tulum. That's this one. This property down here in the bottom middle. I just got back from Tulum, Mexico, where I stayed there. And one of these is, I got a bunch of things up on my window. One of these is the Oklahoma properties where my wife stayed at that one. So yeah, if you invest, you get to go stay at the properties too. Kind of cool. All of this together. Uh, if I did my math right in my spreadsheet, I am getting a 15.8% annualized rate of return and 10% cash on cash with all of this. Now, some of you may have heard me talk about, Jenny says both were awesome. Jenny got to stay at the Oklahoma property and the Tulum property. And yes, that is a private pool on the back of a three-story townhome in Tulum. Folks, future performance is not guaranteed. These are projections, right? I will know actuals here in the next 3 to 7 years. They're all going to close at different times, so it's going to be very difficult to do that math. But this is what I have built. Now, some of you have heard me talk about a portfolio that I have built that's performing at 20% annualized rate of return. That is the apartments, the private equity, and the energy without the alternatives and the stock market, right? The stock market is open to everyone. So if you take that out, the returns are higher. That's my numbers. Now, I shared this with a dude named Bijan Mirpur, who's become one of my best friends of the world, has helped change my life for the future, and we're starting to help change the lives of other people one by one. So I want to let Bijan talk about this next slide because it was his wild and crazy idea to open this thing called an investment fund. Bijan, you want to come off mute and tell us about Indomitable Horizons and how we got together and introduce yourself. Tell us about your background. We got time, bro.
Absolutely. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us tonight. Um, as you can see in the pictures, Brad and I kind of joined forces back in March of last year. We went on a really, really awesome trip to Costa Rica to help build homes for a family in need. And we got there a few days early, got to spend an entire week together, got to talk about what made us excited. And it turned out the three things that we had was giving back to those in need, prioritizing our families, and private investing. And after a week of uh, dinners together, lunches together, breakfasts together, and doing some crazy things like whitewater rafting, we came up with this idea of creating an investment fund. Um, and the Indomitable Horizons Fund was born. I'm sorry, I'm looking on my second screen over here for some notes that I jotted down. Um, and it's a customizable fund, which means that we go and find deals that we like that would fit in our own portfolio that we would want to invest in, and we bring them and we put them available to friends and family and people that join our webinars, and we give you the opportunity to join those as well. You don't have to join every single one. So if you don't like oil and gas, you don't have to join it. Each deal is separate within the fund, so you can join the deals that feel right for you, that fit your portfolio, and it is something that makes you excited and things that you want to get into. The second thing about the fund is that it's a 3C, 5C fund, which means we are part of the GP team in all the real estate deals, and that we get um, uh, we have participation in major decisions that allows us to keep a closer eye on a deal. The last thing you want to do is invest in a deal and have nobody keeping an eye on that deal, making sure that it's headed in the right direction and making sure that they're meeting the numbers that they've promised, right? Or projected. And then, as Brad said earlier, the wealthy have anywhere between 40 to 80% of their wealth in real estate. And this allows us, Brad and myself, to invest in real estate and other type of private equity deals. And it allows you to do the same thing. We know how difficult real estate is. Brad and I both started doing real estate hands-on. And you deal with tenants, you deal with toilets, you deal with evictions, you deal with leaky faucets and clogged sewers. It's a pain. And then luckily, Brad and I both found syndications, and syndications allows you to invest in these really profitable deals passively. And through our fund, you get to invest in those deals passively, but you have an advocate on your side. You've got Brad and myself, making sure that the deals are going in the right direction. Uh, that's it, Brad. That's all I got. If you're interested in the fund, if you're interested in learning more about Brad or myself or the fund as a whole, please feel free to go to our website. Feel free to contact us at indhrs.com/contact. Again, Brad's retirement calculator is also, I put a link in the chat again. These are all tools for you. We're here. We're available anytime you need to talk to us. If you have any questions about investing, the stock market, the way the fund works, any particular deal that we've shown on one of these webinars, or if you just want to pick our brain for some anything you're stuck in or anything you want some ideas on, we're available.
Awesome. Thanks, Bajan.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brad.
So what we've been talking about is this invest for success part. If you're new to this, if you do have money that's in debt, if you have not studied mindfulness and aligning your mind, body, and spirit, again, I'm looking at the attendee list. Everyone has, everyone does. This stuff is challenging, it's difficult, and we want to help you do it. But you got to have the right foundation. You got to have the right team. You got to have the average of your five closest people doing this if you want to achieve success as well. All right. So how can I help you? This is the third, the one videos one, two, and three here are kind of an introductory series. What's going to happen next? Basically, I'm going to do a whole bunch of these every other Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Come live, get in the chat pane, and you get to connect and chat with people that are doing this along with me right now. I am looking, and yes, I am partners with one, two, three, four people in the chat pane right now, and talking, sharing deals back and forth with just about everyone else in the chat pane. So if you want to be the average of the five closest people that are doing this, come live, get in the chat pane, let's chat. Next week going to be about mortgage tips and tricks because if you get this wrong, it makes the rest of it really, really difficult. I'm going to talk about the stock market next. And the reason I'm doing the stock market next is because it's open to people who are not accredited. Some of y'all don't know this, but I studied the stock market for 8, 9, 10 years, even founded a stock market education company. I wanted to help people make life-changing money, and I discovered that the stock market is good for growing your wealth, but not making wealth. So that's when I made a pivot because, as Bijan alluded to, 80% of first-generation millionaires, 80% made the bulk of their money with real estate. I'm going to talk about market ETFs and the easiest way that you can outshine your financial advisor. I'm going to talk about dividend stocks and how those you can use those to create some cash flow. I'm going to talk about some option strategies, right? Did y'all know that you can buy insurance on stocks that you own? You can buy insurance on your stocks. You can buy insurance on your portfolio. Type a three if in the chat pane if any of this is new. And please be honest, be honest. Did you know you can buy stocks that you own? If that's new to you, type in a three. You can lock in wins. If you've been owning a stock and it's going up and you want to lock it in, you can do that. I mean, quite literally, lock it in without selling it. So if it continues to go up, you can continue to lock it in and get paid to lock it in. You can get paid to sell at your target. You can get paid to buy low. There's not a lot of threes. So I'm hoping that means y'all understand these strategies. You can sell insurance to other people on their stocks and get paid to do it. That one does not have good asymmetric risk reward. So you got to be really good at defense on that one, or one loss can blow up a whole year of wins. And then if y'all tell me what stock option strategies you want, we can go through it. We can talk about straddle strangles, iron condors, credit spreads, debit spreads. I did study calendar spreads. I'm not good at that, but if collars are basic, gonna talk about any and all of that. You tell me what you want, and I'll put it in there. Then I'm going to share with you my multifamily knowledge. Now, a lot of people in the chat pane right now know as much or more than I do about apartments, but we'll talk about market analysis. Oh, we're going to talk about valuation. Folks, this valuation of commercial real estate is why it's the single biggest driver that I know of people who have single family rentals, why they're trying to get rid of them and buy apartments. They're tired of the tenants and the calls at 2 a.m. when the toilet's clogged or a light bulb went out or the smoke alarm's beeping. They're just tired of those calls. But more importantly, they are tired because a single family residence, you are dependent, and excuse me, a single family residence, duplex, triplex, and quadplex. You are dependent on your neighbors for the value of your own property. Let me say that again. You are dependent upon your neighbors for the valuation of your property. With commercial, I am in complete control of the valuation of my property because the valuation of a commercial apartment has to do with the net operating income divided by a cap rate. I'm going to talk about strategies where you can force the appreciation. If I want my property to go up in value, I can make it happen. Whereas if I own a single family residence, duplex, triplex, or quad, I, I don't know how to force my neighbors to sell theirs at higher prices. Okay, chat pane, check. I'm excited about the options training. I use options, but I rarely make any real money on them. Awesome. Going to talk about some things to do that. Wilfred says, have you looked into any of the options trading algorithms out there? I know a person that does algo training and has blown up his account in a bad way. And he took down about 100 people with him. So algos and bots are great until they're not. I would the type of options trading strategies that I do, it's monthly. So uh, yeah, I am not active with my stocks. I look at them when I'm addicted uh, a couple of times uh, a week. But, I went on vacation with my wife. We had a beautiful relationship retreat in Tulum where we stayed at one of those properties and collective destinations that Deanna runs for us. Um, I didn't think about the stock market once because guess what? I got insurance on the things that I'm worried about. I got locked in wins if I want to lock in wins and yeah, a lot of it's monthly. I sold some puts, got filled. That was fun. Okay, back to multifamily knowledge. Going to talk about how commercial properties are evaluated. Going to talk about forced appreciation strategies. Going to talk about market analysis and underwriting. Underwriting is an expensive word. That means when someone says, "Hey, I got a deal. Here's the numbers that go into the deal." We go in and we do our own research on what we think the numbers should be. And if they align, um, then we have more faith in the predictions of the future, the benefits of that opportunity. Going to go through all of that. And then we can take some of these strategies and formulas and expand that into private energy and equity deals. Cool. And if you want more, connect with me. I'm going to show you my social here. So here's what's coming in the series. You need to work on your own money mindset, right? This is tier three. Money mindset's going to be in tier two, but your money mindset determines your financial future. If you do not like your money mindset right now, if you think money's not for you, if you think money is evil, if you think rich people are bad, if you are, if you have the delusion that the amount of money is limited, then you need to work on your money mindset because a buddy of mine wrote a book maybe about 10 years ago and said if we take all of the money in the world and divide it by the number of people in the world, there's like $100 million for every single person in the world. And there's more money now than there was then. So yeah, money is not limited. Something like 3 quadrillion dollars, American dollars, changes hands every single day in the public equities market, not even the private ones. Oh, Jenny says that is one important thing to do with your partner. Yes, thank you, sweetie. Um, Jenny's my wife, so I can call her sweetie. None of y'all can. But yeah, work on your mindset together with your partner. Folks, calculate your desired rates of return. It is so important to know your your financial future with your current strategies. Talk to your financial advisors. Talk to your 401k managers or your TSPs or your 403bs or whatever you have. Calculate what your financial future looks like. It's too important. You get one shot at this, folks. Use that calculator. Um, if you want someone else to do it for you, your returns are going to be slightly less. But if you want to be active, your returns can be slightly more. Okay, everyone in the chat pane right now that I can currently see is an expert. Tell me if I'm lying and be honest. If you want to learn how to do this for yourself, you're easily looking at $100,000 in courses and masterminds. That's not the investment. That's just the education. And at least 3 to 5 years to get really good at it. Someone put in a five if you think differently. Someone put in a five if you think you can learn how to do this for yourself with less than $100,000 in education and masterminds and less than 3 years. You might get your first one in less than 3 years and less than $100,000. Okay. If you're here live, you'll see that comments in the chat pane have appeared at 844, 842, 842, 842, 841, 840, 840, 836, 831. The chat pane is active and no one has said that I'm lying. So thank you all for agreeing with me. Gosh, that's a really cheap way. Type in a seven if you think I'm telling the truth, just to make sure something didn't happen. Got one person, Deanna says it'll cost you more than that in mistakes if done on your own. Ooh. And yeah, one, two, three, four, five, six, just about everyone's put in a seven in the chat pane. So thank you for your participation. All right. Uh, I want to help you structure. That's a key word there. Structure a great portfolio that's diversified, non-correlated with asymmetric risk reward. And I use the word structure because that has to do with your asset allocation structure, your income versus growth structure, whether you're retired now or going to be retired by the time some of these come due, correlation, cash flow layering, risk exposure, tax efficiency, compounding mechanics, all of that goes into how you structure your portfolio. All right. Once again, folks, you're going to learn 10% by reading and listening. And unfortunately, that means listening to these videos that I'm creating. 30% by discussing with others. So get yourself into these live so you can connect with us in the chat pane. And 60% by actually doing. Now, since you're only going to get 10% by listening to the recordings, I have decided over the weekend with the help of a new guru that I'm going to start following by the name of Dan Martell, I will be opening some type of coaching program because you can't do this just by reading and listening. We have to interact. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. It's coming. Heads up. If you want something specifically, ask for it. Reach out to me on social media. There's all my stuff, the fund stuff. Connect. It would be great to get to know you. And folks, thank you for listening to me today. I would encourage you, whatever you choose, please, if you take one thing out of this, calculate, use that calculator and determine what your financial future will look like. When I did this in 2010 after the birth of my first child, I had an MBA, had an engineering degree, I had a six-figure income, and was doing all the right things that they were telling me to do. I was horrified at what I learned. And that's what put me on to this 15, I guess now 16-year journey of learning how to create my own financial freedom or sunflower farm or whatever you want to call it. But I'm here to help you. And I'm here to do this as a team so that we can all do it together. So let's do it together. Join me on social media. Drop me some questions, drop me some comments. And no matter what you do going forward, folks, always invest on logic, not on hope. God bless you.